So the next topic what we have to discuss constructors. Regarding this is the last topic mostly related to the whoops constructors. Okay. So what is the need of constructor or what is the purpose of constructor? Just observe. So most of the people having misperception about constructor. Can you tell what the purpose of constructor? To create an object or to initialize an object? Which one is the correct? To create an object or to initialize an object. So make sure we can use constructors to initialize object, not to create object. Okay, make sure. Most of the people having misperception in this point. I don't know the reason. So constructor job is to initialize an object, not to create object. Let me explain first in detail. At last this conclusion anyway we will get. Here see, observe this one. Sir, I am taking class student. I am taking. Just observe this one, class student. Now for every student compulsory name must be there, roll number is there. For every student name and roll number is there. Okay. So now dot here just observe public static void main string array args. Public static void main string array args. Here student S1 is equal to S1 is equal to new student. Student S1 is equal to new student. Student S2 is equal to new student, like I am taking. Student S1 is equal to new student. Student S2 is equal to new student. Dot like. Okay. Now my target here is observe. Sir, I created some 600 students. Assume that student S1, S2 like 600 student objects I created. Now first student, okay, second student. Now dot 600 the student, like I am taking. Sir, name here for every student a separate copy of instance variables will be created. You know, instance variable is always part of object. Instance variable for every object a separate copy by default will be created. Sir, name, roll number. Sir, name, roll number. Name, okay, roll number, like I am taking. Name, roll number, name, roll number, name, roll number, like. Now the target is, after we created an object, but we didn't perform any initialization. If I didn't perform any initialization, now observe, name, JVM is always going to provide default values for instance variables. I hope you people aware. Default value for instance variable, right? What is the default value for name? Okay, null. Correct or not? Because name is what type? String type. For the string, what is the default value? Null. Roll number 0. Because int default value is nothing but like. Sir, here also name null 0. Name null 0. Like, are you getting? Name null 0 like. Now I approach it first student. Student, what is your name? Then immediately this student is going to tell, my name is null. My roll number is 0. I asked the second student, name, my name is null, roll number is 0. Then dot I asked last, pass, what is your name? Null. What is your roll number? 0 like. Regarding what is your name? Null. What is your roll number? 0 like. Now the point here is, take very special care about this one. Sir, every student having the same name null, every student having the same roll number 0, is it a good programming practice? Meaningless, right? Because within a class 600 students are there, all students having the same name null, all students having the same roll number 0, meaningless, worst kind of programming, right? So that's why this one is nothing but not at all recommended. So once we create an object, compulsory we should perform initialization, then only this object is in a position to respond properly. Now I am asking, what is your name? Boss, my name is null, my roll number is 0, meaningless. Second student, what is your name and roll number? My name is null, roll number is 0, meaningless. That's why once we create an object, compulsory we should perform initialization, then only that object is in a position to respond properly. Suppose assume, sir, name Durga, roll number 101. Sir, name some Ravi, roll number 102 like. Now I will ask, hey student, what is your name? Sir, my name is Durga. What is your roll number? 101. Meaningful. Hare, what is your name? Ravi. What is your roll number? 102. Meaningful. That's why once we create an object, compulsory we should perform initialization. Then only that object is in a position to respond properly. Are you getting? So object creation is not enough. Initialization is also very important. After creating an object, highly recommended to go for what? Initialization. Then only that object is in a position to respond properly. Right. Now the point number 1 is the clear. Sir, where we have to perform initialization? Are you getting? Where we have to perform initialization? What is the place? There are multiple places are there, I will suggest, and which is the best place we will decide. Are you getting that? Okay, this up to this is it clear, right? So once we create an object, compulsory we have to perform initialization. Where we have to perform initialization, that thing I will explain. First take up to this. Constructors, keep subheading under the tag. Once we create an object, compulsory we should perform initialization. Once we create an object, compulsory we should perform initialization. Compulsory we should perform initialization. Once we create an object, compulsory we should perform initialization. Then only the object is in a position. Then only the object is in a position to respond properly. Then only the object is in a position to respond properly. Okay, that's all. So yeah, initialization is essential, right? Are you able to understand? Okay, this is, sir, where we have to perform initialization? Just observe. Sir, multiple places are there. First place what I want to do, at the time of declaration I want to do. Sir, here string name is equal to Durga I am taking. String name is equal to Durga I am taking. Roll number is equal to 101 like. Sir, I am performing initialization at the time of declaration only. Can you tell, is it recommended or not recommended? Not recommended. What is the problem here is, have you observed? For all students having the same name Durga 101, Durga 101, Durga 101, because for every object these variables are common. That's why, sir, for all students having the same name null, same roll number 0, all students having the same name Durga, roll number 101, meaningless. Are you getting? If I can take like this, what is the problem? For all students same name is applicable, for all students same roll number is applicable, which is meaningless. That's why object to object name and roll number should be changed. But for all students having the same name, all students having the same roll number, meaningless. That's why this approach is nothing but not at all recommended. Correct or not? Okay, this is. So it's never recommended to perform initialization at the time of declaration, right? Okay, it is not good. Then where I can perform initialization? Second option. Here I am taking curly brace open and close. Sir, can you tell what is this approach? What is this one? Instance block. Within the instance block, name is equal to Durga I am taking. Name is equal to Durga. Roll number is equal to 101. Name is equal to Durga. Roll number is equal to 101, like this I am taking. Sir, can you tell, is it recommended or not recommended? Not recommended, because for every object same thing is going to be executed for all students having the same name, all students having the same roll number is nothing but meaningless. That's why never recommended to perform initialization for object inside what is this one? Instance block. Sir, at the time of declaration not recommended, inside instance block not recommended, right? Sir, where we have to perform initialization? What is the approach? Is nothing but just a simple. Observe, there is another solution I will suggest. Student S1 is equal to new student. Now S1 dot name is equal to Durga. S1 dot roll number is equal to 101. Sir, Durga 101. Clear. Now I am taking student S2 is equal to new student. Sir, I created second student object. S2 dot name is equal to Ravi. S2 dot roll number is equal to 1 or 2. S2 dot name is equal to Ravi. S2 dot roll number is equal to 1 or 2. Sir, name Ravi, roll number what? 1 or 2 like. Okay. So dot dot dot. Sir, can you tell, am I able to maintain different values for every object or not? Yes, we can able to maintain different values for every object. But is this approach either recommended or not recommended? Not recommended. What is the problem here is, because if I can do like this, for all students here, different values you can able to maintain. But the problem here is, length of the code is going to increase like anything. Sir, 600 objects if we created, then 600 into 2, 1200 lines only for initialization, meaningless. But in this example, only 2 properties are there. Assume my object contains 10 properties, then 600 objects I want to create. 600 into 10, 6000 lines of the code only for initialization, meaningless. Are you getting right? So that's why even we can meet the different values, but the problem is the length of the code is going to increase like anything. That's why this approach is not recommended. Clear for all of you? Okay, this is, sir, what is the, so 2 problems we are facing. First problem, for every object we have to maintain different values. Second problem, length of the code should not be increased. So by meeting these 2, we have to perform initialization. Such a type of best place is nothing but constructor, right? Let me explain how important the constructor here. See, sir, I am taking, listen a bit very carefully. Now I want to run the show with constructor concept. Sir, student I am taking string name, comma, into roll number. Student string name, comma, into roll number. Now this dot name is equal to name. Sir, this dot name is equal to name. This dot roll number is equal to roll number, right? Okay, like, sir, do you know what is this concept constructor? Student of string name. Sir, current object name is your provided name. Current object roll number is your provided roll number, right? Now, sir, first student I want to create. Student S1 is equal to new student of Durga 101, like I am taking. Sir, Durga 101. Whenever we are creating this object, automatically constructor will execute. What this constructor will do, whatever values you provided, these values will be assigned to current object. Then first object S1 name Durga, S1 roll number 101. Now let me take student object. Student S2 is equal to new student of, student S2 is equal to new student of Ravi 102. Ravi 102. Student S2 is equal to new student of Ravi 102. Now name is equal to Ravi, roll number is equal to what? 102. Because whenever we are creating object, automatically this constructor will execute, right? Are you getting? Now these values will be assigned to the current object. Sir, first thing, can I able to maintain different values for the objects or not? Yes, name and roll number, different values. Second point, is the length of the code is increasing? No, because for the first student, these 2 lines are responsible to perform initialization. For the second student, same lines. Like you can create 600 objects also, same 2 lines are enough to perform initialization, right? Are you able to understand? Such a type of best place is nothing but what? Constructor, right? Are you getting? Sir, what is the role of constructor? What is the role of constructor? To perform initialization of an object. Regarding role of constructor is to perform initialization of an object. Whenever we are creating an object, immediately some piece of code will be executed to perform initialization. That piece of code is nothing but what? A constructor, right? Constructor is a specially designed concept to perform initialization of an object. Clear for all of you, right? Okay, this is dot like you can is nothing but like. I hope you people are aware what is the purpose of constructor. Sir, constructor the best suitable for initialization, right? So instance block won't work out. At the time of declaration won't work out. For every object separate initialization won't work out. So constructor is the best choice to perform initialization of an object. Clear for all of you, right? Okay, at this point. Whenever whenever we are creating an object, 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 some piece of the code will be executed. Some piece of the code will be executed. Some piece of the code will be executed automatically. Some piece of the code will be executed automatically, automatically to perform, to perform initialization of the object, to perform initialization of the object, to perform initialization of the object, to perform initialization of the object. This piece of the code, this piece of the code, this piece of the code is nothing but, this piece of the code is nothing but, this piece of the code is nothing but, this piece of the code is nothing but what? Constructor. This piece of the code is nothing but constructor. Piece of code nothing but constructor. Okay, this. So hence the main purpose of constructor is, hence the main purpose of constructor is, the main purpose of constructor is to perform, initialization of an object, is to perform initialization of an object, perform initialization of an object, okay, that's all. Are you able to understand what is the role or what is the purpose of constructor? Right, now listen this one. Sir, can you tell what is this concept, Anna? What is this concept? Constructor. Are you getting what is this one? Constructor. Okay, like take this example. Class student string name into roll number, string name into roll number, student of string name into roll number, this dot name is equal to name, this dot roll number is equal to roll number, this dot name is equal to name, this dot roll number is equal to roll number. Next one, public static void main, public static void main, string array args, student S1 is equal to new student of Durga 101, student S2 is equal to new student of Ravi 102, Durga 101, Ravi 102, like better to take the diagrams also. So what is the role of constructor? To perform initialization of an object, not to create object. To create an object we have to use a new operator, but to perform initialization constructor will be there. I hope completed right. What is constructor? Now terminology is very clear for you people anyway, right? Can I complete it right? So even the diagrams also I hope you took. Next take a note. Sir, can you tell the main purpose of constructor is to create an object, or the main purpose of constructor is to perform initialization of an object? Which one is the correct? To perform initialization, not to create object. Okay, add. Take a note. The main purpose of constructor is, the main purpose of constructor is, the main purpose of constructor is to perform, the main purpose of constructor is to perform initialization of an object. The main purpose of constructor is to perform initialization of an object, to perform initialization of an object, to perform initialization of an object, but not to create 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 object, to create object. Okay, that's all. This is the basic introduction. What is constructor? There is one concept is there named with the instance block. We covered already. Sir, for every object creation, instance block also will be executed. Sir, what is the difference between constructor and instance block? Okay, this keep submitting. Difference between constructor and instance block. Difference between constructor and instance block. Difference between constructor and instance block. And instance block. Difference between constructor and instance block. Instance block. Okay. Now the point here is, take very special care about this terminology. What is the purpose of constructor? To perform initialization of an object. What is the purpose of instance block? Okay, make sure other than initialization, for every object creation I want to do certain activity. Sorry, it is not to initialize an object. Other than initialization, for every object creation, if I want to do some activity, like best example for you, updating one record in the database. Are you getting? Sir, whenever I am creating an object, please update one record in the database. Is nothing but like. Or can you please increment count value? Because how many objects got created for this class? I want to maintain that count. Can you please increment count value? Then is other than initialization. If we want to perform certain activity for every object creation, then we should go for which concept is instance block. Observe the role. Constructor is the different, instance block is the different. Are you getting? What is the purpose of constructor? To perform initialization of an object. What is the role of instance block? Other than initialization. If we want to perform any activity for every object creation, then we should go for what? Instance block. Are you getting? Best example, sir. Here just observe this one. Sir, constructor job, instance block job, both are different. Are you getting? One concept replaced with another concept is nothing but not possible. Okay, sir, I want to replace constructor with instance block. No. Sir, I want to replace instance block with constructor. No. Is nothing but both the concepts having their own purpose. Replacing one concept with another concept may not work. Okay, this I will explain where instance block best is suitable with an example. Let us add. The main purpose of constructor is to perform initialization of an object. The main purpose of constructor is to perform initialization of an object. To perform initialization of an object. To perform initialization of an object. Next para. But other than initialization, if we want to perform any activity, any activity for every object creation, other than initialization, if we want to perform any activity for every object creation, other than initialization, if we want to perform any activity for every object creation, then we should go for instance block. Okay, within bracket, like updating one entry in the database, for every object creation, updating one entry in the database for every object creation, updating one entry in the database for every object creation, for every object creation, or incrementing count value, incrementing count value for every object creation, incrementing count value for every object creation, incrementing count value for every object creation, etc. Incrementing count value for every object creation, etc. Okay, that's all. So sir, the main purpose of constructor is to perform initialization of an object. Other than initialization, if we want to perform any activity, then we should go for what? Instance block, right? Both constructor and instance block purposes are different. Replacing one concept with another concept may not work. Okay, this is don't feel always going to work, may not work. Okay, this is add both constructor and instance block, constructor and instance block, constructor and instance block, instance block have both constructor and instance block have their own purposes, their own different purposes, their own different purposes, their own different purposes and replacing one concept with another concept, and replacing one concept with another concept, replacing one concept with another concept may not work always. Replacing one concept with another concept may not work always. Replacing one concept with another concept may not work always. May not work always. Replacing one concept with another concept may not work always. Always. Are you getting? So this is what is the purpose of constructor, or what is the role of constructor, right? Are you able to understand? Okay, this is. So instance block. Sir, I will explain with an example where instance block is the best choice. Are you getting right? I will explain. So, but before the constructor and instance block, both will be executed for every object creation. Correct, Adnan? But first, which one will be executed? Instance block followed by constructor. Okay, add both the constructor and instance blocks, both constructor and instance block will be executed, both constructor and instance block will be executed for every object creation. Both constructor and instance block will be executed for every object creation. Both constructor and instance block will be executed for every object creation. But for every object creation, but constructor first. Wait. But instance block first. But instance block first. Followed by. But instance block first. Followed by constructor next. Followed by constructor. Instance block first. Followed by constructor. Okay. Now this is what you people should aware. What is the purpose of instance block and constructor? What is the difference? Let me explain with an example where instance block is best suitable. Okay, legend this one. Sir, I want to print number of objects created for a class. 3 objects created, 2 objects created, like how many number of objects got created? I want to print that count value. How it is possible? Legend this one. Sir, observe, take special care. Sir, I am taking class test. I am taking class test. Here I am taking, sir, one static variable. Static int count is equal to 0. Static int count is equal to 0. Like, sir, I am taking test no argument constructor. Legend, test no argument constructor. Sir, test of int I, int argument constructor. Next, test of double D, test of double D. Okay, how many constructors we are writing? 3 constructor. Based on our requirement, I may call first constructor, second constructor, third constructor, any constructor I may call. Now the continuation is observe. Sir, public static void main method, public static void main method, string array action, public static void main string array action. Now observe, sir, I'm creating test object. Test t1 is equal to new test. Sir, here I'm creating an object. In this case, which constructor will be called? No argument constructor. Which constructor will be called? No argument constructor. Test t2 is equal to new test of 10. Which constructor will be called? Which constructor will be called? Integer constructor. Test t3 is equal to new test of 10.5. Which constructor will be called? Double arg constructor, right? Okay, sometimes you may call first constructor, second constructor, third constructor. But now my requirement is, I want to print how many number of objects created for the class. Sir, here, observe this one. I don't know instance block terminology. I don't know instance block. I have to run only with constructor. Then, for every object creation, increment count value. Sir, where we have to increment? Sir, first time, no argument constructor. That's why increment here count plus. Second time, I am calling this one. So, increment count plus. Increment count. Third time, I call this constructor. Then count plus like. Are you getting count? How many times I have to write? 3 times. Count plus count, because at runtime, which constructor you are going to call, we don't know. That's why you may call first one or second one or third one. We don't know that. That's why how many constructor? In every constructor we have to write count plus and so on. Code redundancy problem. One problem. Second problem here is, observe this one. Sometimes, do you know, for the same object creation, suppose by mistake, if this line is there, this of 10 also there. Within, whenever we are calling this constructor, automatically this one will execute. Yeah, the part of that, I will call this one also. Then how many times count value is incrementing? 2 times. But for one object, only 2 times count value incrementing is always a problem. That's why, sir, for every object creation, other than initialization, if we want to do some activity, don't run the show with constructor. Okay? This one is nothing but not recommended. Okay? What I will do, just let me write instance block and within the count plus like I can take. You may call this constructor, but first instance block and then constructor. You may call this constructor, first instance block and then this constructor. You may call this constructor, first block and then this constructor. Do you know? So, how many times I have to write count plus now? Only one time. Are you getting right? How many times I have to write count plus? Only one time. Is it advantage feature or not? Yes. Make sure other than initialization. If we want to perform any activity, then highly recommended to go for which concept? Instance block. Best suitable is nothing but like now system.out.println, the number of objects created for a class. Number of objects created. Okay, E plus number of objects created E plus count. Are you getting? Sir, can you please print count value? End of the main, end of the class, right? I hope that terminology is very clear for you, sir. Instance block job you can't replace with constructor, or constructor job you can't replace with instance block. Every concept has its own purpose. Replacing one concept with another concept is nothing but not at all recommended, may not work always. Are you getting? Sir, best suitable concept. So, how to print number of objects created for a class? Sometimes in the interview room you may ask, write your program to print number of objects created for a class. His internal intention is, have you ever instance block concept or not? Just to check that, he may ask this type of question. You should be in a position to tell. Are you getting? So, are you seeing the difference between instance block and a constructor? Is there any difference there or not? Or both are same? If both are same, why 2 concepts came into the picture? That's why both are different concepts. Both are having its own different purposes, right? Okay, add demo program to print Demo program to print number of objects created for a class. Demo program to print number of objects created for a class. Demo program to print number of objects created for a class. For a class. Demo program to print number of objects created for a class. For a class. Okay, take this program. Class test. Static int count is equal to 0. Next, curly brace open and close, count plus plus. Instance block is the best choice for this requirement. So this is the demo program how to use instance block. Static int count is equal to 0. Count plus plus. So this is the test constructor, test of int I. Next, test of double T. Public static void main. Completed, right? Test T1 is equal to new test. Test T2 is equal to new test of 10. Test T3 new test of 10.5. Next, the number of objects created is a plus count. Number of objects created itself is a plus count. Completed, right? So what is the role of instance block? The number of objects created itself is what? Plus a count. So terminology is very clear for you people, right? Okay, that's all. Instance block versus constructor, what is the difference, right? Okay, this is next. Keep submitting. Rules of writing constructors. Rules of writing constructors. Rules of writing constructors. Now these rules are very important. Make sure compulsory you people should aware. Sir, can you tell some rules satisfied by constructor? Yes, majority of the people compulsory you people should have clarity. At least one rule. Can you spell out? Name of the class and the name of the constructor must be same. Are you getting? Name of the class and name of the constructor must be same. Next, return type concept not applicable. Access modifier ... There are multiple rules are there. Add a first rule. Name of the class and the name of the constructor must be matched. Name of the class and name of the constructor. Name of the class and name of the constructor must be matched. Must be matched. Name of the class and name of the constructor must be matched. Okay, one thing. Next, second, take a bit special care. Sir, constructor which is executing automatically whenever we are creating object. Sir, I am creating an object. Test T is equal to new test. Automatically constructor is executing. Are you getting? I am not calling. Whenever we are creating an object, automatically constructor executing. If I am not calling, I am not expecting any return type. Because if I am calling, then I will expect some return type. That return type I will use in the next lines of the code. But am I calling constructor? No. Is the constructor will be executed automatically whenever we are creating object. That's why return type concept not applicable for the constructor. Constructor job is to perform initialization of an object. Once initialization complete, that's all. It won't return anything. That's why return type concept not applicable for constructor. Even void also. Are you getting? Even void also. Return type, such type of terminology not applicable, right? Add second rule. Return type concept not applicable for constructor. Return type concept not applicable for constructor. return type concept not applicable for constructor. even 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 void also, even void also, even void also. Sir, I have one doubt. Sir, I'm taking here, listen a bit carefully. Class test. Sir, can you tell what is this one? Test is nothing but constructor. Now by mistake I'm thinking somewhere, now I took void test. Are you getting? I declared the void. Can you tell if the code is going to compile or not? What compile time error we are going to get? I'm declaring return type for the constructor void. Can you tell what compile time error we will get? If the code will compile or not? Yes, by mistake. If we are taking return type for the constructor, okay, so we won't get any compile time error because compiler treats it as a method. Are you getting? It is a method. It is a method, but not a constructor. It is a method but not constructor. Observe this one, sir. So by mistake, if you are trying to take return type for the constructor, now we won't get any compile time error because it's a method but not constructor. Are you getting that? Okay, this is. So make sure. Now I have one doubt, sir. Is it possible to declare a method? Is it possible to declare a method whose name is exactly same as class name? Possible or not? Possible or not? Is it possible to declare a method whose name is exactly same as class name? Possible or not? Possible, but is it recommended or not recommended? Not recommended. Worst kind of programming practice, because this concept already applicable for constructor. Why we have to pollute that concept for methods? That's why, even though it is legal, but it's not a good programming practice. Just observe. Let me explain one small example right here. See. Yes, here just observe. My target is, I'm taking, so test, let me take test.java, something like I'm taking, right? Okay, here just observe all these things. I don't know. Here just otherwise. Okay, this is my test class, like I'm taking, right? Sir, class test, and have you observed class test like I'm taking? Here within the test class, sir, class test public static void main like I'm taking. Now my target here is, sir, I want to take a return type. Sir, void, here see, sir, I'm taking tester. Can you tell what is this concept? Constructor system.out.println. Okay, constructor like I'm taking. End of this one. Sir, within that just I'm taking tester t is equal to new tester. Tester t is equal to new tester. Now let me remove. Sir, that's all. Can you tell whenever we are creating an object, automatically this constructor will be executed or not? Yes, that's why. Now observe this one. Java C test.java. Have you observed the code compiles fine? The code runs fine, constructor got executed. But if I'm taking void here, void here, can you tell, is it a method or constructor? Method. Whenever I'm creating an object, automatically this one will be executed? No, because if it is a constructor will execute, but it's a method, it won't be. Now observe this one. The code compiles fine. What the answer? Nothing. Are you getting? Sir, I want to execute this method. Add a here method, but not constructor. Now I want to call t.tester. T.tester, because method name is a test only. T.tester, method name is a test only. That's why. What is the output by default you are going to get? Have you observed? The code compiles fine and method but not constructor. Are you able to understand? So by mistake, if we are taking return type for the constructor, we won't get any compile time error because it is a method but not constructor. Are you getting that? Okay, at this point. By mistake, if we are trying to declare return type for the constructor, by mistake if you are trying to declare return type for the constructor, return type for the constructor, return type for the constructor, then return type for the constructor, then we won't get any compile time error. We won't get any compile time error. We won't get any compile time error because compiler treats it as a method. Because compiler treats it as a method. Compiler treats it as a method. Okay, take this example. Class test, void test. It is a method but not constructor. It is a method but not a constructor. Are you able to understand, right? It's a method but not constructor, like. I hope the terminology is very clear for you. Okay, so now I have one doubt. Can I use the term? It is legal, listen this one. It is legal to have a method whose name is exactly same as class name. Correct or not? Array, it is legal. Legal means valid. It is valid to have a method whose name is exactly same as class name. Correct or not? Yes. But is it recommended or not recommended? Not recommended. Correct or not? Add. Hence, it is legal. Hence it is legal. It is legal within bracket. It is legal within bracket, but stupid. It is legal within bracket, but stupid. To have a method. It is legal but stupid to have a method whose name is exactly same as class name. Whose name is exactly same as class name. It is legal but stupid to have a method whose name is exactly same as class name. Exactly same as class name. That's all. Are you getting right? Okay, so I hope you people took this one. You took this one. Better to take this example also. Complete example. Yes, take this one. Even how to call that method also there. Example, class test, void test, method but not constructor, because we are keeping return type, right? Next, tester t is equal to new tester t dot tester. Tester t is equal to new tester t dot tester. Completed, right? It's a method but not constructor, like. I hope is clear. It's a method but not constructor, like. Okay. So just observe. This is what you people should aware related to return type. What constraint for constructors, right? Now the next one, very important point. Just I have one funny experience related to the next point. Listen well about this one. In the earlier days, at beginning, maybe 3 years or 4 years, 5 years before, usually my common habit is to share my mobile number and mail ID to the students. I shared usually after completing the batch. If you have the doubts, this is my number or this is my mail ID, like I shared. One time I hope that evening around 5 or 5:30, I was in one important meeting. So with very superior person, because I waited So almost 1 month, 1.5 months to get the chance to talk with that person. Okay, very important VIP. I was there in the meeting. Okay, so is very important discussion is going on. Suddenly, my mobile ringing. What I did is, even I'm not in a position to check from where the call is coming also. Just I took the mobile, immediately I disconnected. Red button is there, I disconnected the call. Then I disconnected. Now I'm continuing once again. Once again, call is coming. Disconnected. Now once again I'm continuing. Once again call is came. This time I'm trying to disconnect. This person, Durga, first check your phone and then we will talk, like a bit irritation mode. That person responded. Then okay, sure sir, just 1 minute, like I came out. Then you know what is my feeling about that call. Then so I'm checking from where these many times the call came. Even disconnected means a bit busy, it seems. Maybe we'll call later, like so we can able to understand minimum. So compulsory that person minimum feelings he should get has. Continuously disconnecting, he's continuously ringing. Then just I'm checking from where the call is coming. Immediately the call. So once again call is coming. Number only, not saved. It's not no name also. Then I connected the call. After connecting the call, what the first thing we have to use? Hello, like. So whenever I started using hello, like, immediately the other side the voice is, which modifiers applicable for constructors? Really I got shocked. So even no formalities also. Hello, hi, sir, I'm your student or something, like, no formalities. Directly only one point. Which modifiers applicable for constructors? Then first time I got the feeling, am I maintaining any call center for Java doubts? Like, because at least minimum, sir, I'm your SCJP student, old student. So it's nothing but minimum at least. Which modifiers applicable for constructors? Like, really I got shocked. Then I used the word a bit with a loud voice. I told, why you made a call? Why you are asking this question to me? Like I told. Then that person realized, sorry sir, I'm your old SCJP student. Now I'm at interview hall. Okay. So for every student entry person is asking only one question. Which modifiers applicable for constructors? I am in a bit hurry. That's why even I didn't introduce myself. Don't mind sir. Can you please tell which modifiers applicable for constructors? Then I told. So I told in the notes also. So even you know why, so I asked which modifiers applicable for constructors, like in reverse. Then that person told public, private, protected, default, like you only told. You know the answer. Why you are asking me once again? Why you are making a phone call, like I? Then that person responded, sir, just to get confirmation, sir, like. Are getting just to get confirmation, sir, because so sir, life and death problem, because job related. If I'm by mistake, if I'm telling wrong, then I may not get the job. That's why don't mind anything, sir, just to get confirmation, I'm making a phone call. Are getting that? This type of experiences are 4 or 5 I got. Then I realized that not recommended to share mobile number to the students, like. Are getting? So here why I shared this point with you. Very important question for the interview room. Which modifiers applicable for constructors, right? So the only applicable modifiers for constructors are public, private, protected, default. That's all. The only applicable modifiers for constructors are public, private, protected, default. If we are using any other modifier, immediately compile time error we are going to get. Are you getting the point? Right? Okay, this is. So which modifiers applicable for constructors? Now just observe this one. Sir, I'm taking here, assume, sir, this is the constructor. Assume this one is the constructor, right? Sir, I'm taking public. Sir, public. Is it valid or invalid? Valid. Perfectly, no problem at all. Valid. Here, do you know? So it's a valid, no issue at all. Now, sir, instead of public, I'm taking private. Valid or not? Instead of public, I'm taking private. Okay, 1 minute. I'm taking private. Valid or not? Valid. Sir, instead of private, now I'm taking static. Is it valid or invalid? invalid. Immediately compile time error we are going to get saying modifier static. Modifier static not allowed here. Sir, static modifier is not allowed here. Like compile time error we are going to get. Have you observed? Modifier static not allowed here is nothing but like compile time error we are going to get. So the only applicable modifiers for constructors are public, private, protected, default. By mistake, if you are using any other compile time error, you are going to get, okay, at this point. The only applicable modifiers, for constructors are, the only applicable modifiers for constructors are, public, private, protected, default. Public, private, protected, default. Public, private, protected, default. If we are trying to use any other modifier, we will get compile time error. If we are trying to use any other modifier, we will get compile time error. Okay. So now I am taking class test. Yeah, let me take static test. Example, better to take class test, static test. Do you know compile time error we are going to get? Compile time error saying, what that compile time error? Modifier static not allowed here. Modifier static not allowed here is the compile time error we are going to get. Modifier static not allowed here itself is the compile time error. Can I complete it right? Okay, this is modifier static not allowed here, like, okay, terminology is the very clear for you people, right? Okay, the same. Now next conclusion here, just observe default constructor. There is one concept named with the default constructor. Keep supporting. Default constructor. Sir, yeah, there are multiple things I have to conclude, but even most of the people having wrong perception in your mind. Okay, first thing, who is the responsible to generate default constructor? Compiler or JVM? Okay, make sure compiler is responsible to generate default constructor. Sir, if any extra code required, compiler is going to take care, not JVM. JVM is responsible just simply to execute, that's all. JVM is not responsible to generate. So who is the responsible to generate default constructor? Compiler is responsible. First clarity, but not by the JVM. Second thing, compiler will always generate default constructor. Correct or not? Ayo, compiler will always generate default constructor. Correct or not? No. Compiler will generate default constructor if and only if we are not writing any constructor. Are you getting? If we are writing at least one constructor, sir, I am writing at least one constructor, compiler won't generate default constructor. Are you able to get right? Okay, this compiler won't generate default constructor always. So if we are not writing any constructor, suppose best example, sir, I am taking class test. Sir, I didn't write any constructor. That's why compiler feels that array programmer is a very poor person. He don't know about constructor concept. That's why let me provide some support. Like my compiler is going to generate default constructor, right? Suppose if I am writing like this, sir, class test of int I. Sir, class test of int I. Can you tell compiler will generate default constructor? No, because whenever we are writing like this, compiler feels that, oh, programmer already aware constructor concept. Why I have to generate default constructor? Not required to generate like, okay? Make sure. If our class doesn't contain any constructor, then only compiler will generate a default constructor, right? If our class contain at least one constructor, then the compiler feels that programmer aware constructor concept. I'm not required to generate default constructor. Are you able to understand that? Okay, this. So can I use the term compiler will always generate default constructor? No. If our class doesn't contain any constructor, then only default constructor will be generated by compiler. Clear for all of you? Okay, this is first one. Next, sir, here take very special care. Every class in Java contain constructor. It may be default constructor generated by compiler or customizer constructor provided by programmer, but not both simultaneously. Correct or not? Sir, when the compiler will generate default constructor? If we are not writing any constructor. If I am writing any constructor, compiler won't generate default constructor. Sir, is there any chance to exist both constructors simultaneously? Is there any chance to exist both constructors simultaneously? Never. Because when the compiler will generate, if we are not writing anything, sir, if I am writing something, then compiler won't generate. That's why customized programmer constructor, default constructor generated by compiler can't exist both simultaneously. If I am writing, compiler won't generate. If I am not writing, then only compiler will generate. Are you getting the conclusions right? Very important points. Okay, add first point. Compiler is responsible. Compiler is responsible to generate a default constructor. Compiler is responsible to generate a default constructor. Compiler is responsible to generate a default constructor. To generate default constructor. Within bracket but not JVM. Within bracket but not JVM. Some faculty members or some books may use the word JVM is the responsible to generate default constructor. No. Compiler is responsible to generate default constructor. Next, second point. If we are not writing any constructor, any constructor, then only compiler will generate default constructor. If we are not writing any constructor, then only compiler will generate default constructor. If we are not writing any constructor, then only compiler will generate default constructor. Default constructor. That is if we are writing at least one constructor. If we are writing at least one constructor, then compiler won't generate. Default constructor. If we are writing at least one constructor, then compiler won't generate default constructor. Hence, every class in Java can contain constructor. Every class in Java can contain constructor. It may be default constructor generated by compiler. Or customizer constructor explicitly provided by programmer. Customizer constructor explicitly provided by programmer, but not both simultaneously. That's all. Are you getting that? Okay, this is. Sir, either compiler will generate default constructor always? No. If we are not writing any constructor, then only compiler will generate default constructor. Clear for all of you, right? Okay, the same.